All right. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Happy Juneteenth. Hey, Katie, how are you?
I'm good. Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
Yes, let us see that shirt you got on.
Girl, it says free as Juneteenth. You see it?
Free Juneteenth.
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited to have Katie here today. Katie was with us on Valentine's Day. Now she's back here on June 19th. So we want to thank her so much for taking two holidays, y'all. For taking two holidays out with us today. And today, Katie is going to be talking about parenting and coping with this pandemic and how we all can just get through it and parents get through it. So, just a little bit about Katie. Katie is an entrepreneur. She is a licensed therapist. She has a Facebook group called Family Love. She has a Facebook group where she promotes people in business in Central Illinois. Katie has, she's an author. She has a journal, and we're going to be talking about that journal tonight, guys. And Katie is also a speaker. This woman is amazing. This is who you need to know and who you need to follow. So, Katie, can you tell the ladies a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, I mean, you did a really good job. But yeah, so my name is Katie, and I live in New Jersey, born and raised in Central Illinois. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist as well as a licensed drug and alcohol therapist. And so what I do is I advocate for mental health with the mind, body, and soul connected. So I am all about self-care. I believe we are who we are due to how we were brought up and our family connections. And so when I work with people, that's the angle I come from is through relational angles and how it all connects to mind, body, and soul. So I am so excited to be here today to talk to you guys about my journal that I created. And it's called Our Journal From Me to You. You can find this journal on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart.com. Target. I just found out today it was on Target.com. So it's out there. It's out there. And this is just an excellent tool to have when you are parenting to engage with your child or children.
Yes. So, can you tell us, Katie, what motivated you to create this journal for parents and children, mothers and fathers, and their children from ages 6 to 18? What motivated you to create this journal?
Yeah, so believe it or not, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was stuck at home with the kids, of course. We all were, right? And during this time, my 6-year-old was leaving kindergarten and going to the first grade, right? No, he was in kindergarten because it was started in March. So he was in kindergarten and they were learning to write. So he was having a hard time writing. He's a lefty. And that was something he was struggling with. So I was like, all right, let me figure out how I can make this fun. Let me write to him and get him to write. He absolutely hated writing and didn't want to do it. So I was like, all right, well, let me draw something. So one night I drew something and it was like, okay, now draw something back. And then I slowly tried to get him to write a little bit. And then that's how I coined the idea of, you know what? Let me do a parent and child journal. So you can, for different reasons. And me being a therapist, I thought of healthy connections as well in journaling. So journaling is so powerful. So that's how I came up with the idea is with my son, my now 6-year-old son. So at the time he was 5.
Oh, wow. So, you were just sitting there with your son, connecting with him, and you guys were drawing, and God gave you this vision to create this journal.
Yes, he did. And he told me to finish that thing because there's so many times where I was just like, and I was like, well, I gotta get a publisher. And God was like, girl, you better publish that thing yourself. So I actually did some research and it was so easy. And I saved thousands of dollars to do it myself for sure. So I did everything with. I had a copyright. So I did it all with, and my husband. My husband's attorney, so he definitely helped with the copyright part. But besides that, the publishing, I was able to find someone to help me with a little bit of artwork and all that. So yeah, I went forward with the vision, and I'm a type of person who's always working on different projects, but this one was one of those that I'm glad I listened to God and pushed it out. So it really was good. So this is one thing for me, parenting through the pandemic, that I was able to get through.
Wow. That's amazing, Katie, that you were able to publish the book yourself. Like, that is amazing.
Thank
See,
you.
we can literally do anything.
Yeah.
And the best thing is, as entrepreneurs, is just having the internet and being able to research it so you're able to create a product.
Absolutely, yes. And I'm excited for, future things because yeah, it lets me know that anybody can write a book or anything you want. You just have to be open to do it. And don't let people give you these crazy prices, because you can really do it under $200, or take your time and do a little bit at a time in the process.
Wow. And your book is published, your journal is published at Walmart, Target, Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It's on all those platforms. So let me just quickly go over the journal and tell people what it's about.
Yes.
So, in the beginning of the journal, it kind of just tells you more about what the purpose of and what is intended to, which is to encourage communications between a child and their parent. And in doing so, this helps them share different thoughts, wishes, and affirmations. So in this journal, so the reason why this journal is different from other journals on the market is because, like I said, being a therapist, I know what's important in bonding and having healthy relationships, and what kids need to learn to have what we call emotional intelligence. So this journal is based on giving your child emotional intelligence. So I have drawing paper in here, so there's blank pages to draw. I have line paper to do the journal prompts. So there's journal prompts. I have affirmations that for the child and for the parent, right? Because parents, we need affirmations too, because a lot of times we may feel like, what are we doing? What I know I do. I'm like, what am I doing? I don't feel like parenting today. Or you just need the affirmation and to know that you're doing a good job, right? So that's another thing that's very important, is that we need the affirmation to know that we are doing a good job. And so that's what the journal reminds you of, no matter what. Just the fact that you care and it's taking time to engage with your child, that's good parenting. Excuse me. Good parenting is taking your role seriously, one. Two, good parenting is empowering yourself about parenting and being able to learn how to change certain things. Like when you notice that what you did in your parenting skill wasn't so great or wasn't as effective, or it didn't apply to that child, right? And that's a good parenting technique too, because what you do for one child or what your parents do for you does not mean that it fits for all, because every child is different. Every child has their own personality, and that is something that I'm definitely learning between my two boys. Totally different, right? One person I can yell at and their little feelings hurt. The other person I can yell till I'm blue and they be like, I ain't listening to nothing you talking about. So you learn a lot about your children. So the affirmations are there. I don't know if you can see it, it's light, but it's in there in the book. Let's see, a feeling chart. So emotions and feelings. Those that's in there, and there's prompts about it and different questions. Understand it, empathy, identifying coping skills. Like, how do you cope in different situations when it comes to your emotional strength. And then there's charts to help you identify emotions just from like little emoji faces to help people identify things. Um, because, when it comes to emotions, it is so important. And that is something that a lot of grown-ups lack, right? They have a lot of resentment and anger. And before you get to anger, you actually experience different emotions, but you don't know you're experiencing those emotions because you don't know how to identify them, right? So there's way more emotions before you get to that emotion of anger. And unfortunately, when people get to anger, and what's the other word? Well, when the people get to anger, that's the only thing people seem to see is the anger, right? But they don't know what you're experiencing the inside. And usually it's fear, it's loneliness, it's bitterness, it's anxiety, being anxious, being like the feelings and emotions go on and on and on. And if you holding on to those things and aren't able to say, hey, you really hurt my feelings, that's called emotional intelligence, right? If you're not able to talk about those things, then you end up hurting people around you when it comes to relationships and parenting, or in your mother or your father or your siblings.
Wow. So starting young with emotional intelligence so children can identify the various emotions that they're having. So one of the reasons why you have the journal is to connect the kids with their emotions. So not only connecting them with their parents, but teaching them about their emotions and how they're feeling.
Yeah,
Because
and
that's
parents too who don't, who struggle too, right? Right.
right.
As parents, as grown-ups, you're never too old to learn, right? It's a constant thing to always learn and to gain knowledge. So,
Yes. So, what advice do you have to moms who are at home and they've been at home with the children through this pandemic and they feel like they spent enough time with the kids? They spent enough time.
no, listen, it's real
About the
hard.
difference
Give us
between
a break.
quality. Mm.
Pat on the back, thank God, right? Because it has not been easy. It has not been easy. And for people who don't have children at home, like just imagine yourself, even if you're single, like just imagine yourself being at home alone, right? And then the stress and just the different issues that arise from that, right? So now take that. Imagine being stuck in a house with a child who can't quite understand why they can't go socialize with their old friends. Why can't they really go to school and go like they used to, even if they go temporary, the short schedule that some schools did, or they have to do virtually, or if they missed out on prom or dances. Like, can you imagine? So there's a lot of emotions that a lot of people have to deal with, and it's all stuck in the household, right? So just parents, give yourself grace that you are making it through, because now we're at the end of the pandemic, and most schools in the fall are mandating that all students are coming back full time. So there's positives in there, but there's a little negatives because now we got to get back to what things used to be, our new normal. Well, a little different, so I'll say our new normal. And there's some issues that come with that.
Yeah. So, what are some of the issues that, as a therapist, you could see happening post pandemic?
Yeah. So one of the things is moms, we have to have honest conversations about the workforce, right? And what it means for you. So there was many transitions. People lost their jobs or weren't able to keep their jobs because of child care, right? So now we're going back, and child care may be better for people in the fall. But how now you as a working mom, how will that play out? Will you have the appropriate support system to help you? So that is always going to be there, but it's just going to change in a different way. Um, the screen time guilt. Oh my goodness. I That's one of those moms like, you've been in front of that tablet for too long. Get off. Too much TV. Turn it off. But when COVID happened, I can't tell them to turn it off when they got virtual school, right? When now this is the way we socialize to talk to my mom, their grandma in Illinois, they need to get on the screen, right? To even talk to their friends after school, like this was the new way. So now instead of turning that screen time frustration, I have to shift it to okay. So let me make this positive, right? What can I do so they won't be, it's not too stressful, or I know the impact that screen time is supposed to have on them. So definitely doing the breaks and all those type of things. And now as we're shifting and summer is happening and things are getting better, definitely try to switch it up for your kids. Now get them outside more, ride bikes more. Try to get them into activities, that is safe. Of course, we want to be safe, but now's the time to get them back out there, getting them to socialize again in the normal way, because those skills are being lax now because it was different, right? For some kids who were afraid or like had a little bit of social anxiety,
Right.
this have made it worse. So that's something right there, social anxiety, and just being afraid of getting anything. Also, our immune system, especially with the kids, kids they need to kind of get sick to get their immune system healthy, right? So everybody's just been so afraid of COVID that we kind of neglected or like forgot about because people hadn't been getting common colds or flus or, those things. So now our kids are going to get those things, and it's going to be, another thing of, oh no, I got to take time off of work and all these other things. So I guess my suggestion is to try your best to continue to build their immune system by making sure they're eating healthy and drinking water, especially during hot season, and eating,
Okay, so I think that her video is frozen. But what she was saying is just try to build the kids' immune system so they can get back out and get to normal. And she was saying just slowly integrate them back into society. Like she was saying, taking them to the park, or, school is going to be starting soon. So they need to be socialized again with children. I know for me as an adult, I still get social anxiety just going to the grocery store. So imagine, being a child and have to be around 20 or 30 kids in a class again, you know?
right. Yeah, it's yeah. So kids have to deal with that and depression. A lot of kids were depressed about certain things, missing certain milestones, right? And talking to your child about that. And then the kids who thrived off of that social activity, um, they're stuck trying to figure it out and trying to have more of an interaction than just internet. So now's the time where parents have to decide how lenient they're going to be or not so lenient when it comes to that. But parents, we have to just teach our kids to be safe, and allow them to have their social life again, slowly and surely.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things, Katie, that you do talk about in parenting is being a single parent, right? So right now it's about 15 million single parents in America and 21 million children that are being raised by single parents. So how do these parents find time, with work and everything else, to balance, to take the time to connect and journal with their children?
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, prayer. meditation,
Mm.
yoga, exercise.
Everything.
Because I say all that because it's hard. I mean, I'm not a single parent, but I can, like, I was raised by a single parent, and like, it's exhausting everything you have to keep up with, like, especially if you have more than one child. But, having a schedule that you abide with, right? Being able to know what child has what, and understanding that when we engage with our children, that it does not have to be a lot of time. And this goes back to a saying, which is quality over quantity. That is key. Is that when you engage with a child, it does not have to be hours of time. It can be as simple as giving your child a bath at night and reading a book at bedtime, right? But what you're doing in that moment is you're focusing on that child in that moment. So you can't be multitasking. You have to be focused. If you're reading a book, put your phone down and really read the book. That little bit of time goes a long way, because a child is not going to say, oh, mommy only read for me for 10 minutes. Mommy only read for me for 5 minutes. They don't know that at that age. What they're going to say is, mommy read that book to me. That's our book. Daddy read that book to me. That's our book. Because we can't forget about the fathers. Fathers, y'all, it's Father's Day. You can get this book.
Put it up so they can see the journal.
Yes, yes. Because we don't want to forget about the single parents, the fathers out there either. Because there are great ones out there and they're doing very well, and they need to be acknowledged. So yeah, so that's my key, is just understanding that it's really quality over quantity, and to just take the time to do it. And even when you journal, it does not have to be a long time. There's different tips and things that I even put in here about journaling. One thing you can do is, if your child is already gone to bed by the time you settle to get to journaling, that's okay. Because what you're going to do is write, whatever you want to talk to your child about. Maybe y'all had a dispute earlier that day. So let me just go back. The age for this journal actually goes from the age 6 all the way up to 18. Because you're never too old to write or journal, and 6 is because you're learning to write and you can draw and things like that. But so let's say it's with your preteen or teen and you have a dispute. You can pull out the journal and just say some things that you weren't able to say in the conversation. You can apologize in a way in the journal that you aren't able to do in person. You know what I mean? Like, you can highlight where you were coming from when you said whatever you said. Listen, the reason why I told you can't go over Tommy's house is because it's not safe, and I want to make sure because I love you, whatever. And then you can leave the journal on their nightstand, and then they can read it the next morning. So, there's different ways and tips to engage with your child.
Yes, I absolutely love these journals. And like Katie said, tomorrow is Father's Day, by the way. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Okay. So the journal is good for fathers and children to connect. It is so important, the father's role that they play in their lives,
Absolutely. I'm all about building families. I love it. I'm a family therapist. So I deal with all types of dynamics. Listen, if you want to get a divorce and you just want to have healthy parenting, come see me. Come talk to me. We can work that out. If you are struggling with your daughter because she's entering preteen and teen years, come talk to me. I can work that out. If it's sibling rivalry, come talk to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I support families because families is so big and important. And I was raised in a big family. And it teaches you so much, whether your family is small or big. And understand that family does not have to be biological. Family is what people mean to you, people that are close to, that you have an intimate relationship with. And intimate means closeness, a close relationship with.
Wow. Thank you so much, Katie. And can you tell us more about some of your future ambitions? And can you tell us where can they find information about you, your therapy practice and everything? Where can they find more information about you?
Yeah. So I have a website, www.adeselfcare. It's ADESELF care, CARE.com. And on that website, you can find more about me. I do consultations, I do public speaking, I do workshops, any of that is found there. And I also do therapy at www.lfgtherapy.com. And I'm on Facebook under my group of Family Love. If you buy this journal, please, please, please join the group Family Love because I remind you to journal and give other tips in that group. And yeah, so that's where you can find me. And in the future, more books to come. I'm working on something, a couple of things now. So that's about me.
Yes, thank you so much, Katie. And what I love so much is that having a therapist who actually look like you.
Mm.
You know, because we don't have too many, well, I don't know too many therapists that I can go to who look like me and who really can understand and relate to my life and what I'm going through or what the children are going through. You know, Katie is a wife, she's a mother, you know, so she gets it. She understands, she's a brother or sister, she understands the family dynamic. So we want to thank you and honor you, Katie, for coming on today. After this, ladies, we're going to have a Q&A session right after this in Clubhouse. You can also come to Clubhouse. You can purchase the journal from Katie, and we're going to post all of her information right after this. We're going to post all of her information about her therapy practice. So we want to thank you guys for coming on today, and y'all have a great Juneteenth and a happy Father's Day.
Yes, and we want to thank you, Kiara. You always come through. We appreciate you. You are a queen, shining, and I just love it. I love you, girl. Keep moving.
Bye.